Okay, I'll call this special regional council meeting to order. Please be advised that today's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually. It's being streamed and recorded. Are there any additions to the agenda? Mr. Barry.
Yes, Mayor, just at the end, we'll just chat just around some timelines moving forward for the budget process, just to confirm with council.
Very well. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Moved by Councillor Penny, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Carried. Search and rescue budget requests. Mr. Normando. I think you know everybody at the table, Mr. Normando.
I think so. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's probably not too often that you get people from California wanting to ask for money. Sorry.
Actually, it's quite frequent in my household. And it also goes the other way. There's people in Fort Nelson asking people in California for money from time to time too. So it's all good.
Sure. Yeah.
Search and rescue. Do you have the tab number, Mr. Barry, for that?
Tab number 19.
19B. Okay.
Partway through. It's passed. It's just after the Arts Council.
Okay. I was there this weekend, but I didn't remember the page. So. Well, Mr. Normando, can you begin by telling us a little bit about your past years, search and rescue?
Yeah, we had several call outs. You know, every time we go out, whether we use helicopters or boats or snowmobiles or ATVs, we use our equipment. Most of them were by helicopter this year. We did one training with the jet boat last year. We had an incident on Maxamish Lake where the snowmobiles were involved. And these are privately used snowmobiles, by the way, that we don't own any as of yet. Yeah, several hunting related, and that's usually what brings us in the bush. But through COVID, we were not able to do any training per se. I tried to set up a first aid course, but it just didn't work out. So this year now, with some of the protocols being dropped, I think we'll be able to hit our training a lot harder, which we'll need. Our swift water is coming due this year for a lot of the group. The jet boat, we will have to update some training. ATVs, I think we're good for a while as far as training. What else we got coming up? But first aid is a biggie. That's the first one I want to hit hard when I get back home, get the group organized and do that in preparation for the spring, summer months. Then we'll do the jet boat training. That'll mean bringing a small team from out of town to, and you know, that's an option too, whether we go see them with our group of 4 or we bring the instructor to Fort Nelson. So we'll see what happens that way. But that's basically in a nutshell. Last year was probably maybe a little more than average. It seems like we're going up every year in our call out. So you know, people are getting quite comfortable in pushing that SOS button on their inReach, and so we have to get involved right away. Do you have anything to add to that, Mike?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, last year was a little quieter than the previous year, which was a little crazy, but yeah, it was a good year for the most part.
And how's that building at the airport working out for you?
I am very happy with it, Mayor. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Like the town really stepped up. Like that totally blew me away when that opportunity come up, and you know, the town worked pretty hard. And here's the other thing. I was really surprised how quick they could fast track that for us and make it work. So we got, I'll call it ownership of it, June 15th. And so we just hit the ground running, doing the renos. Maybe I could segue into talking about some of the renos that we did there. So we had to move a wall to create a classroom out of the 2 smaller offices. So there was some construction that way. We did some painting just to brighten it up. I changed the lighting. It was very dark in all of the rooms. We did the flooring, you know, it just needed a few updates that way. And then I replaced some tin outside, put some signage. And I think I'm very happy with it. There's a few little things that I'll finish up when I get back. But yeah, it's working out well.
And I understand we had a bit of a water leak out there, didn't we?
Yeah, I haven't
Yes.
seen that, unfortunate.
Yeah, that sounds like there was a pipe that let go and water was shooting up, hitting the ceiling and bouncing back down in the boiler room at the back. And there's definitely some damage to the walls that back onto the boiler room there, and the water ended up traveling through like underneath on the subfloor out into the bays. So I think they managed to get it all dried out pretty well, and they're out there. They've torn up a bit of the flooring that we just laid down, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. They're working on it, so hopefully it'll all be fixed in the next month or so.
And what was the cause of this? What happened?
I honestly don't know. When I talked to, we basically called the night that we heard a bunch of water. Had one of the airport guys came out, and he said it looked like one of the connections had blown.
Huh.
So I don't know whether it was overpressure or what it was.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Penny.
You mentioned earlier about equipment there that you're using, personal ATVs, the snowmobiles, and then everybody is volunteer in this group as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely, 100% volunteer.
And then is there any return to any of these volunteers for when they use their equipment, or are they just donating this equipment to the cause?
There are EMBC does reimburse some expenses. If I remember the numbers correctly, I think it's $30 an hour while it's in use.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and where does that come from?
Emergency Management BC.
Awesome. Okay.
So the
Thank
province.
you.
Any other questions for the fine folks at Search and Rescue? Councillor Gerwing.
Hello, I'm just wondering, when I'm reading the balance sheet, it says that you have like $98,000 in your checking savings account. So I'm wondering why you wouldn't consider using that for the training or for the request that you've got to the municipality for $30,000.
So approximately a little over $52,000 of that is provincial funding, which we do have earmarked for ATVs and snowmobiles. We don't have a really good mobility capability at the moment, so that's what that is earmarked for. The remaining $46,000 is going towards items on that budget. So some of it would be equipment, some of it would be some of the other costs on that budget.
Okay, so then if I may follow up, so the more equipment that you purchase, there'll obviously be more ongoing maintenance and replacement costs. So do you foresee coming to the municipality for those increase in costs as well? Like the more equipment that you have, then the more your costs are, right?
Yes and no. There's definitely going to be increased maintenance costs, but the big cost is going to be the capital outlay to acquire the equipment. and once we have it, it's a case of for instance, the Swiftwater gear. We want to start replacing that, part of that on an annual basis. We treat the other equipment the same way. We don't want to be in the position where we're having to constantly make a huge capital outlay. So maintenance will definitely be important. But I don't see that as being a huge ask every year. If that answers the question.
Yeah, if I can follow up.
Councillor Goring?
So earlier you stated that when the private ATVs or snowmobiles are used, they're billed out at $30 an hour to the province. If search and rescue locally were to own their own ATV and snowmobiles, do you have the capacity to bill that back to the province at $30 an hour as well?
Yes.
And then another very important point, Councillor Gerwing. BC Sarah gives us, EMBC gives us a very short window. So if we damage a piece of equipment, there's no problem in collecting or repairing it and collecting the funds for that. But we have to act really quickly on it. So there should not be any big surprises other than training. So, you know, we have to be careful that when we use the machine on a task and that the repairs all come out of the tasks as much as we can. You know, anything that's damaged will get covered that way, but in training, it's hard to decide where you're going to put some of those funds towards. Does it go towards the repairs during training? Does it go towards tasks? And so we can recoup a lot of those costs is what I'm saying.
Thank you. Any further questions for search and rescue? Councillor Andrew? Oh, Councillor Penny.
I have one more question. If you guys weren't here, what would happen when somebody hits the SOS button?
Really good question. So, and that does happen. That's been happening when I'm away or Mike's away. So Fort St. John, the RCMP will contact either Mike or myself. And then if we're not available, it'll go to the next nearest group. So that's Fort St. John typically will act on it. And if that failed, Comox is coming.
442 Squadron, eh?
Correct.
Okay, any further questions? All right, thank you very much. There's no other questions. I'll give you back 15 minutes of your day then.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks. Bye now.
Aye.
Mr. Barry, with the time we have remaining, do you want to discuss the your item on the agenda?
Sure, Mayor. Just for council's information, we're targeting February 16th to do the virtual open house. So that's next Wednesday. In the meantime, we're prepping documentation and signage and whatnot, the information to get put over as per council direction to the rec center, part of the engagement process. And of course, on our various platforms. For the virtual, so February 16th, we're looking 5 to 7, 5 to 6, something to that.
As a council, do we want to like make a schedule? Because we were all here for the 2 hours last time and there was no questions. So maybe we want to think about always ensuring that there's mayor there and then a council person we could maybe shift off.
I can make sure I'm there for all of it. Like I can just set it aside on Wednesday. I keep my Wednesdays pretty open, so I can be there. If anybody else needs some other time, I'll make sure I'm there for sure.
And I guess the question back to council too is what do you think is a reasonable amount of time? I mean, we're going to have mechanisms to provide feedback. People can contact councilors any given time they wish. There's a survey portion that, as part of that feedback mechanism also in the meantime. So I mean, in terms of that particular evening, is there a preference in terms of length of time? In terms of duration?
I honestly feel if we have it at a reasonable time, say like from 6 till 7, I think an hour would be
Okay.
more than enough, really. I mean, they've got so many different avenues that they can get hold of us.
Agreed, yep. Okay, sounds good. So I'll throw that out if I'll remind, I'll send an email to council to remind them if you have any issues with that date, just let me know. And then we'll be putting out a doodle poll here shortly too before coming to Canvas Council specific availability for the actual budget meetings. So we're targeting that week right now. Looks like the week of March 7th. So yeah. So we're targeting March 7th, and we'll base. It's a milestone, actually. It really is, considering where it was. Yeah, that was no small undertaking. Yeah. So we'll that doodle poll will come out. And based on discussion with council, it was during the week, and we'll look at like a 12 to 2 window or something like that, and a 5 to 7, but we'll and see what the availability is and go from there. And the intent would be to have the document to council the week prior. And that week prior is a council meeting week. So we'll have, that's when we provide any feedback and information specific to the budget from the public as part of our public engagement piece.
Are you giving us all new papers?
Yes.
again?
Yeah.
Do we have to? Like, maybe change it?
The area probably will see the most changes because we're working on year end is any carryover funds will actually be firmed up because we're making estimates currently on carryover funds. So there'll be some tweaks that way, which could impact that bottom line in terms of the net tax required, right? Because if carryover funds, if there's additional carryover funds we didn't realize were there, then that would lessen the requirement in terms of this year and vice versa. So that's the only piece that would be, you're not going to see any dramatic changes, but there will be the numbers will be a little bit different possibly.
So all these individual sheets could reflect some changes.
What we talked about too is doing a summary of changes, and if
Yeah.
there's a preference that, or
Yes.
it would make sense
Yeah.
that if there's sections that have no change, then we'll just reprint
Yeah.
the sections to be replaced versus a whole entire new package.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what you're-
Because I have my notes on these papers and I found that last year that we got all new papers and we have to go back and.
Yeah, so we actually met this morning, chatted, and Jay is correct. We chatted about basically generalizing certain changes that have occurred in the document, listing out, so you have an idea, and we can work through that with individual councils to figure out. Because instead of having the whole document change. Right. Yeah.
The new set of green sheets also has the actuals on it though. Because the set you have currently does not have actuals. The new set will have actuals. Yeah.
Well, that would be.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to temporarily adjourn the special regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Gerwing. All those in favor? Carried. Call the special regional council meeting. Welcome, Mrs. Andrews.
Hello, thank you for having us.
I'm sure you're familiar with all the people here today. Councillor Penny, Councillor Gerwing, Councillor Andrews, myself. Did you want to do introductions on your end?
Absolutely. So with me, I have our longstanding programmer and bookkeeper, Julia Stidolf. And then to my left is our wonderful board chair, Flora Clark.
Thank you. So did you want to begin your presentation on the library?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to present our budget to you. My name is Danica Andrews. I am the library director here at the Fort Nelson Public Library. I hope that everyone has had time to go over the budget information and the annual report. There are a few key things that I would like to highlight. There were some changes to our facility in 2021 after a steady increase in our interlibrary loan services. We realized the need to expand our interlibrary loans area with a counter in storage for processing requests. This service has increased by 93% since 2020 and 39% since 2019. Social distancing guidelines as ordered by the provincial health officer left only 2 of our 4 public computers available to our community due to spacing constraints. In consideration of this issue, we relocated our computer area to our entryway and created a paneled station desk to act as a barrier and provide patrons with privacy. The new computer area accommodates all 4 of our public computers while still adhering to social distancing guidelines. We evaluated the needs of our community during the pandemic and recognized that our online presence was integral. Considering this identified need, we focused on our digital marketing foundation by creating a professional brand for the library, increasing our online engagements. This process included an updated logo, a full color palette, and optimizing our social media pages, which include Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, and our Fort Nelson Public Library website. Using our new logo, the library purchased new book bags, which are currently available for purchase, and there has been one set aside for each member of our current council for your next visit to the library. So come and inquire at the desk. I would also like to highlight that Fort Nelson Public Library has taken steps to become more sustainable. We have signed up with Simply Sustainable to recycle our compostable waste and our paper products. We are now diverting our books, paper, cardboard, and compostable waste products into the Northern Rockies Verma compost. And finally, I would like to highlight that our budget shows an $18,000 reduction in our grant funding request. This amount is a one-time reduction in our ask due to savings that have been realized in 2020-21, which were a direct result of the continued effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We will be using the $18,000 saved from 2021 to offset our 2022 budget request, changing our grant request for 2022 from $332,337 to $314,337. I am hoping we can answer any questions council and mayor may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the library? So, Mrs. Andrews, I see that the financial statements here that are completed are for the year ending December 31st, 2020, not 2021. Do we know when the financial statements will be ready for the end of 2021?
In May.
In May.
In May, okay. Are there any other questions for the library? This is going to be one fast meeting. Very well. If there's no other questions, then I will let you have the rest of your day back. You're actually ending your meeting before it's beginning at 12:30, so that's great.
Well, that's a great. Good to my top staff talking.
Super, yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll ask for a motion to temporarily adjourn the special regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Penny, seconded by temporarily adjourn the regional council meeting.
It's okay. It's Monday. We all have.
Okay. I believe that was seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Carried. We are temporarily adjourned. All right, I'll call the special regional council meeting back to order again. And today we have Allison Starr and Kim McGlinskey here to present the museum's budget for us. I believe you know everyone around the table. Allison, did you want to start with your presentation?
Sorry, I probably not as well prepared as I should be, but as you know, we've been working on trying to get this addition going with the museum over quite a number of years. And this year this past year in 2020, we finally broke ground. And as you've driven past lately, you can see that it's underway. We've had a few delays due to weather. Did we lose Kim somewhere? She's not showing up on my screen.
Wait, I just noticed she got kicked, but she's coming back in.
Okay, should I wait for her then?
She can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, so we did break ground in 2020. The construction is ongoing. There have been a few delays, mostly due to weather and things like that. We have, due to COVID, for the past 2 years, reduced our operating hours, but we were still able to stay open to employ some local students and other local people. We're hoping to be open back to full-time hours starting in May. So, and the addition at this point should be substantially finished early March and should be completely finished, I believe. You can correct me, Kim, if we need to, by the end of March. So that doesn't give us a lot of time before we normally open in May. So we don't know if the addition is going to be fully open or not. It will be at least partially open, but it will depend on whether we can get displays moved around and set up and so on. You also know, obviously, that we lost our longtime curator, Marl Brown, last summer. And personally, I think we're really going to miss him when we're setting up the edition, because he had such a good eye for things. He was a very talented person in that way. So for this year's budget, we are looking for the operating funds to continue our operation, plus the capital funds to complete the ongoing project and do some of the work to cover landscaping and so on around the addition, and to move things back around to fit in with what we have. We have decided again this year not to try and open for Heritage Days. We really miss that, but just given the way things are right now, and that we typically have a bake sale and bannock in the cabin and things like that, that it's just not the right time to be doing that, unfortunately. So that's pretty much what I have. Like I said, I'm sorry I'm not more organized this year. And Kim, do you have anything to add to that? And if not, questions?
Kim, you're muted.
Yeah, I realized that.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Just to change, the substantial completion date is March 31st and the final completion date will be April 22nd. I'm just looking at the miniature schedule that he gave us. I had to put my glasses on to read it. I don't have a lot more. I was unaware that we were giving a presentation. I was under the understanding that Mayor and Council had questions. So we came prepared to answer questions and not necessarily to give a presentation. So our apologies for that.
No problem. Kim, so the construction project is on time as far as construction goes and on budget as well?
No, it's delayed. Obviously, we had a 3-week cold snap, which really threw us for a loop. It's certainly on budget, but it's we are behind. I think that the first completion date we got was substantial completion was the end of February, and the final completion was going to be mid-March. So we've now moved that again. I'm just saying, we'll be full steam ahead, hopefully the end of April. They've made up a little bit of ground. Of course, the nicer the weather is, the more they can get done. Technically right now it should be at the lockup stage where they're, simply working inside. We're not there yet. We're close. I think this week and next week, you'll see the doors and the windows go in. I believe it's going to get wrapped And then I don't recall him mentioning the siding yet, or the roof, but we're almost there, just not quite. The entire top floor has been roughed in. The plumbers were here laying the stripping or whatever for the heated floor upstairs. I see the electrician is here today. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but he's here. So there is activity going on there, and I think once it hits lockup, it's going to go really fast from there.
Well, it's nice to see that it's on budget, and even if it's a little delayed, it's still going to be well within the tourism season for 2022, assuming that we have one. And I'm certainly optimistic that, we're going to see some of the restrictions lifted. I'm personally looking forward to probably the best tourist season we've seen in a long time, COVID notwithstanding. So I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that that's what's going to happen. As far as the presentation goes, I think the council likes to hear from these groups and hear about, not just what's in the balance sheet, but what they see in the future and how things are going in their organizations and everything else.
Jamie
So,
and I met-
anyway, I'll just ask if any councilors have any questions for the museum. No, I don't think we do. All right. Thank you for your presentation today.
Just one more quick thing.
Sure, go ahead.
Mayor and council would like, at some point this week or next week, they were going to stop construction and none of us have been in this building. Well, I stuck in once, but the board is going to be allowed to go in there and have a look once they finish the staircase going up to the second floor. If you'd like, we can send an invitation to mayor and council. It'll be at a noon hour when they can just shut construction down, so we don't have to go in there with the PPE stuff. So if mayor and council would like, we can send that invitation out to you. And if you're welcome to tag along with us if you'd like.
Or we could just sneak in at 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, there are cameras. There are some cameras set up, so you can't really sneak. It's just too much theft. There's a lot of cameras here right now.
I'll wear a mask. All right. Thank you very much for your presentation today. Appreciate it. It's good to see you. Hope your
And thank you
project
for your
continues on the
support.
right track.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support.
You're welcome. If there's nothing else, I'll declare this meeting adjourned.